Hello everyone, thank you for watching these videos. My name is Kamya Simon Peter, and at this time the world is at the COVID-19 lockdown, Okay, so I'm taking this opportunity again to record more videos about Maxscript, and then still about the Max SDK. Now, the one I'm recording these videos is how I want them to look in the Max SDK. That's why I think these videos are vital. Alright, so I've done a lot of talking in the previous videos without vital action. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the rollout dialogue. Then we'll start interacting with our scenes. And now remember, in the first videos, I talked about the creator of Maxscript, Mr. Right. So I won't go so deep, but I'm going to try to use our live example to go through most of the ventures, like the expressions, like the functions, like the constants, like the structures. Now, let me go straight to the point. All right, so again, we are going to go to our Maxscript CHM, or you can go to the Autodesk help website and then you look for the documentation. So we're going to go to now I'm not going just as I plan to organize this course, I'm not going straight through whatever. It will be boring to go straight through whatever the documentation is talking about, but I'm creating hints, and then I'm not following the documentation in order. So I'm going to go to Maxscript tools and interactions, okay, and then I look for rollout interfaces, and then let me say rollout controls. Okay, so let me see, let's go to rollout interface control types. Now I just wanted to show you this summarizes most of the rollouts that 3ds Max has for us. Okay, most of the rollout properties, what can I say, most of the rollout interaction items such as buttons, sliders, all right, so whatsoever you need. So you can click on any of them, but we're going to come back to that. Let's see how you can create a rollout interface. So the other one is a rollout control interface control types. So let's see how you can create a rollout interface. Okay, all right, so here is a small example. This documentation is far wide, but I'll try to break it down for you. All right, so here is a small example. The first thing you must do, you must have a rollout. So the function or the main call for a rollout is rollout, and then you give the rollout its number, okay, its name, the name you want to give the rollout, and then the text that name should display as the title. All right, then down here you must create the rollout dialogue of that particular name, and then you give it a size. No, I'm not going to first focus on that, but let's create our first basic rollout. So the keyword is rollout, okay, and then the name of the rollout. Now let's call our plugin right to facialize, okay, RTF. And then what do I want to be displayed as a title? Okay, let me first leave that for the moment, and then we see. Okay, all right, so I have this, and let me save it. But when I run, remember to run Ctrl E to evaluate all. Okay, evaluate all, nothing happens. It's just because I've created the virtual space for the rollout, but I've not created what the rollout should display. Okay, I've not created the keywords to call the rollout to display on screen. That's why I'm going to create one. They said we do a create dialogue. Okay, that's the keyword. And then which dialogue are you creating? A dialogue for RTF, right to facialize, and then save, Ctrl S and then Ctrl E. Okay, So let's see if we evaluate all, what do we have? All right, so we are lacking something. Let me see. Let me just hope that the rollout has not. Okay, so create dialogue RTF. Now let's give our rollout a name that should be displayed on screen. Right to facialize. That's how I've called it. Control S and then Control E. Okay, so you can see after giving it a name, our rollout is now displaying here, but it's small because it simply lacks most of the things. Now down here you can set the size of the rollout. Let's say 200 by 400 and then Control S. All right, so I don't know if I close the previous one. Let me close it so that I load this again, which is Control E, and you can see that we've given it a size. All right, so apart from the size, let me just delete the size here and then Control S. All right, so next we need to add something to our rollout because right now it's displaying nothing. All right, so let me go back to the documentation and then from the control types, let me choose something. Let's say a button. Now the button, there are different kinds of buttons. Let's say a button. All right, so they are giving us the syntax for a button, and they are saying the first thing you need to put a keyword that this is a button, and then you give the button a name. Okay, and then you can give a caption for that particular button. For example, the button can be maybe press me. Okay, and then any parameters that they go into that button, and then a tooltip. Some of these are optional. Remember when we were in the first video of the documentation, we said for example, this is a keyword and this is a rule. This rule says that the button must have a name, and then this is optional. Whatever is in these square brackets is optional. Okay, such as the tooltip and the border. Okay, now let's first do one at a time. What we're going to do, we're going to create a button. Okay, so the keyword is button, and then we give the button a name. I don't want to say BTN because people will mistaken it. Let me say button XYZ. All right, and then save. Control E. All right, so there we are. We have our button, and the button is present here XYZ, but it has nothing in it. All right, so they're saying that the other option, this is optional. That's why it's in square brackets, that we can give a caption. So what caption are we going to give it, which is going to be in a string? So the caption can be hello. All right, so Control S, Control E, there you are. So we have a button hello, but it's doing nothing even when I press it. Now there are other options here that I won't hint on. They are there for you to try. For example, the tooltip here. All right, but then and then if you have an image that you want, for example, if you have a small image that you want to be in this as an icon in that image, in that button. All right, so I'm going to go down to, please take time and read some of through some of these. For example, the default alignment of the button is center, which means you can change it if you don't want it to be center. You can choose if the border is false or true. Okay, if you want the button to have a border false, for example, let me try that this button can have a border false. All right, so Control V, Control S. Okay, and then Control E to evaluate all. So you see the button has no border. Okay, and if the border is true, which is always on by default, okay, and then I evaluate all, you'll always see that it has a border around it. So that's what, those are just options. But I want to scroll down. Okay, so other parameters, we have the image parameter, an image specification for providing a bitmap. These are just options. So I want to scroll down to the events. All right, so how do you handle what this button should do? For example, this is the event, and the event says that on button, on the other name, this is the rule. So on the name you gave the button, in which case our button is XYZ, pressed, okay, do this. So do whatever expression you want to add. All right, so let me do this. Okay, so in the next line, Maxscript is like Python. Sometimes you don't need to include a few things like terminations and what. So on, okay, but I think in statements such as the switch statements, you will have that on XYZ. Remember, XYZ is our button name, pressed. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to do, and what do you want to do? An expression. All right, so an expression is a rule, which means if it misses, you have nothing, and that's the part, the less than and greater than signs. Remember in our first video. All right, so what do I want to do? I'll put it in brackets. I usually want to have that for clean code. All right, so what do you want to do? I want to change this button. Instead of saying hello, it says you have pressed me. So our button is XYZ dot what? The text in XYZ dot text. All right, what do I want it to be? I want it to be equal to you have pressed me. You have pressed me. All right, Control S, and then I'll create another button by pressing Control E to evaluate all. Control E. All right, so if I press this button, you can see it has changed that you have pressed me. All right, there is another option that if on right click on BTN, now our button is XYZ. On that button, right clicked. Let me just verify. All right, so that's why you need the documentation on right click do. That's why you need this documentation so much. You need to check out. There is no clean programmer. There is to check out some of these things to okay, do. What do you need to do? I'm going to set the text now, XYZ dot text is equal to maybe now right clicked. Okay, Control S, Control E. Okay, so it has evaluated again. Now another one. All right, so when I press hello, okay, you have pressed me, and then when I right click, all right, so there's something I've done wrong. Let me check. It's supposed to be right click, not right clicked. Let me save again and evaluate again. When I press hello, and then when I right click, you can see now right clicked. So that's how to deal with the button. Now what I want us to do, we're diving deeper now. In the next video, we're going to make sure that we use another kind of button, all right, which button checks. All right, so this one, there's nothing it does, but there's a button that we have to press, all right, and then we check an item, okay, inside here. So we can create, but we're going to check. Okay, in the next video, let's press 1 and we use it to create a box. And in that case, we're going to just do that. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Do not forget to subscribe, like and share.